People are driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. The hiring process can be slow and overwhelming. Simplify hiring with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform. With over 350 million global monthly visitors according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. That's Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Terms and conditions apply.
Audio Jungle.
Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your Resource for Success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. My name is Kimberly McLemore, and I am your host. With us, we have Constance Jackson, founder and owner of Jackson Contract Solutions. Welcome, Constance.
Hello.
How are you doing this evening?
I am doing well, Kimberly. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad that we got this opportunity to chat with each other about your business. So we see each other regularly, and we'll kind of dive into that a little later throughout the interview. But could you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Again, my name is Constance Jackson. I have technically been in business for 7 years, assisting government contractors, small and large, with proposal preparation, non-disclosure agreements, teaming agreements, and also contract management assistance. Also assisting the government with acquisition support, writing all of their acquisition documents, and helping with the items that are required to release a request for a proposal.
Okay, wow. All right. So you got quite a bit there that we're going to dive into and dig out little pieces at a time. But tell me a little bit about where you're from, your personal life a little bit, how you kind of got into this before we dive into the actual other information about your business itself.
Okay, I am originally from Pensacola, Florida. I grew up as a military brat, so I've lived in several parts of the country. And I've always been interested in legal everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought when I was growing up that I was going to be an attorney later on in life.
Wow. Okay. So that kind of is what inspired you to do a business? Or was it something else, a situation or other things that had inspired you to get into this?
I actually fell into the whole, I guess it was kind of brought out in me with different things. I noticed, although I grew up in a military family and had the other parent who worked for the government and retired after 35 years, I've always wanted to do something for a certain amount of time and move on to the next opportunity. I attempted when I was really young in my 20s, while working for a company for about 6 or 8 months, to move into a new position. And at that time, it was frowned upon. And, instead of cultivating this spirit that I had to want to learn something new, they made me feel bad about wanting to leave my position after only being there for 8 months.
Wow. Wow, that is crazy. But it doesn't surprise me because it's usually, as they say, most companies are all about just keeping butts in the seats and it's all about them versus realizing that if you have an individual who's that strongly, their intuition about wanting to do other things, why not encourage them or either encourage them to stay by allowing them to grow in a different type of way. So that's
exactly.
That's interesting, but I don't think it's really that much different today to some degree. I think, times have kind of gone back to that attitude of just, we got to have you here. It doesn't matter, whether you're learning anything or whether you have other avenues that you could provide support to. It just kind of is what it is, which is really, I think, the real reason a lot of people, whether you're male or female going into business, that is the reason why people want to do things on their own. So explain to me a little bit more. Now, you talked a little bit in the beginning about that you provide acquisition support, proposal management, and contracts management. Kind of, I guess, explain a little bit of what's the difference between each one of those.
Okay. So back in the mid 90s, I accepted a position with Lockheed Martin as a person on a contract to help them with child support enforcement. And a lot of people don't know that that is a business that Lockheed Martin was in, but they work with the state of Virginia to hire child support enforcement workers. And that's what I was. And I actually had to read the contract that the state had with Lockheed Martin, and I became fascinated with it. So I, went into classes and learned about government contracting from being on that contract. And on the government contractor side, the government releases an RFP and the contractor decides if they either want to go after it themselves, which would make them the prime contractor, or if they want to team with another prime contractor and they put their capabilities together, which basically says why you should choose me as the contractor. They submit a proposal and then they wait to hear whether they won or not. If they won, then if they win, they move forward and they do the work for the government for whatever length of time that the contract is due to run for. On the government side, I actually help with the process once they decide, hey, we need someone to do a particular service or we're looking for a particular product. I help them with the market research, reviewing, websites and just a lot of different information to find out, one, if there's a company that can do the work. If so, is it a small business? Is it a large business? And all of those things come into play when you decide who you're going to issue the RFP to. Because the government has someone on their side, a small business advocate, who wants you to explain to them why this work can't go to a small business. Because it is their quest. Since small businesses, hire the most people and have the most jobs, they would like for small businesses to win as much work as possible.
Right. That is true. Yeah. Government contracting is a little bit different. Then, of course, you still can run into that problem that I've seen kind of working in this industry as well, that it seems like a lot of the government people like to keep some of the same companies over and over and over. And that's not always a healthy mix. So you're not really learning and getting any new information or new vibes of people coming in that can do things differently and sometimes better. So that seems to be an issue that I have seen being into the government industry as well. So let me ask you this question. When you have, let's say you have a very small company who's looking into diving into government contracting, have you had the opportunity or do you provide a service where you can actually, you can help them walk through every process, every bit that it takes in order to, to look up that they found an RFP or whatever, and they found something they want to bid for? Do you help them with that process? Have you done that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. In terms of whether they want to go after work or not, I allow them to, when they come to me, they should have already made a decision about whether they're going to pursue something or not, and whether they're going to pursue it as a prime or whether they're going to pursue it as a subcontractor. And either way, I can assist. I help them negotiate non-disclosure agreements. I can actually draft them and issue them. I can respond and make sure that you're protected. That's the main thing you want anytime you are doing business with the government or with another contractor. You want to make sure you're protected, because any agreement that someone issues is going to favor them if you ever have to go into a legal proceeding.
Right.
So I negotiate their non-disclosure agreement, their teaming agreement if they decide to subcontract with someone, and then we look at, hey, what are the things that you can do to win this work, and why should you be chosen?
Right. Okay, well, that's interesting. That's actually very good to know, because being that we live here in the Washington D.C. metro area, this is a very challenging, community, because everything here is government. So, to be able to have somebody with the type of knowledge that you have, I think is fascinating, because I've seen this, many business go down in just the 12 years that I have been here, because they don't understand the full replications, and ramifications that come with being in contracting, and like I said, not understanding the legality part of it. So I think it's really important that what you're doing is a very viable and needed thing here in the community. But explain to me what your challenges have been, because we're in such a large community where there's nothing but government. What have you faced in the last 7 years doing this type of business?
I would say the biggest challenge is making sure that you keep everything professional and everything on a business level. I had a relationship with a client that started out as a business relationship, but we did business for quite a while, and it sort of evolved into a personal relationship. And we did have a contract for the work that I was providing, but that client ran into financial issues. And for my part, I allowed the financial state to go on a lot longer than I should have.
Okay.
I should have ended, as I could have per our contract, I should have ended our relationship, our legal relationship, once there was a certain dollar threshold that was met, or a certain amount of time had gone by with non-payment. So that put me in a situation where I had to wind up suing that particular client, and it's just not a good thing for anyone. You have to spend money to hire an attorney, and you don't, sue them. And after all of that, you still have no guarantee that you're going to get your money.
Right. And I like what you said, though. You're talking about the fact, professionalism is very, very important. And, it's a shame that when you build a rapport with whether it's an organization or if it's a friendship, you find that it can be very difficult to walk away from certain things. And then that also, makes the piece just hard to deal with. And then, like I said, now you're in a situation where you're struggling to maintain that professional side as well as your friendship, because of things that, because people can take that for granted. And that's really the sad part about it, when you're trying to team or to help another, individual that you're with in business. I have kind of gone through that myself and realized that I don't mind teaming, but at the same token, sometimes you're just better off on your own. It's absolutely
correct. And that's one of the things that I have a hard time explaining to my clients who are just getting into business for themselves. When I explain to them, you need a non-disclosure agreement.
Yes.
They keep saying, well, that's my friend. And I'm like, as someone told me, it's not a problem until it becomes a problem.
Absolutely.
So yes, you are a friend. But if you find yourself in a situation where you have to take that person to court, then whatever the agreement you have, whether it's verbal or in writing, it will be left up to the court to interpret.
That's true. That is absolutely true. Yeah. And that's where most problems start. And most people's problems usually start because they never have an agreement, period, in place.
Right.
It's
right.
Just,
and that's another thing. Yes.
Yeah. It's usually just that, we got a great idea. Let's just move with this. No. And me personally, I don't do business that way. We're either going to do it in writing or we're not going to do it at all, because like you said, it's a legal document. And once the court interprets it the way they want to interpret that can go a long ways. And so, I agree. And it's a shame that you had to go through that, but definitely a good lesson learned, and something that you,
absolutely,
can share, you have shared with everybody else, so that they can have an understanding that, this is the right way to do it. So, we talked a little bit about the bad part of but it's obvious that you've been doing this for 7 years and you've definitely had some successes. Talk to me about what you think has been one of your best success stories about being in this type of business.
It's always a couple of things. It's always great. It's a great feeling when you work with someone and they win a contract award. You know, you put in the blood, sweat, and tears, the hard work, getting the proposal together, and they actually win. So that is always a great feeling. And then I personally believe that it is very difficult for a business owner who is out most times as the business development person and actually out trying to get contacts and win work. I think it's very difficult to do that and try to write a proposal and manage a contract. So being able to be that go-to person for someone who is trying to navigate through the murky waters of government contracting, because it's one of these things to me, that you love it or you hate it. I happen to love it, but
Right.
most people hate it.
Yeah, I agree with that because, you know, it's funny because like I was saying earlier that I was going to talk a little bit about the fact that we see each other every day, even though we both run our own businesses personally, we both happen to be in the same environment daily. And I see you, you know, go through that process of trying to get them to understand what they're doing and vice versa. You know, you're trying to make sure that the contracts are set up properly so that we don't have these problems. But as we can see, even in our own environment, it's that constant pulling teeth sometimes of just getting people to realize that there's the right way to do it and then there's their way to do it. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I get it. And it's, you know, it's just one of those things that you deal with on the outside world. But like you said, when you're running it yourself, you definitely do not want to take that chance of doing it just what the way that they think it should be done. It should be done absolutely the right way. So being that you do this and you love what you do, because I know you do, you talk a lot about being in contracting. If there was a woman who wanted to be in this type of business or just in business alone, period, what type of advice would you give them?
Protect yourself. And that crosses a lot of different areas. Obviously, as I said before, with the agreements, but also with making sure when you go out, you go into business for yourself, that you've protected yourself in terms of building a cushion financially before you actually take the leap to go there and not have any other income coming in. So protecting yourself would be the first thing I would give them in terms of advice, and to go for it. If there's something that you're passionate about and people are willing to buy it, then you should absolutely go for it, whatever that is.
Absolutely.
And don't let other people hold you back.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's my thing. I always tell people, dare to be fearless. You know, you have that right to dream, make that dream a reality, you know, but the key word is, like you said, do it the right way. And that's the biggest problem that most people have. At least it's one thing to have a passion, but once you realize what that passion is, you have to take the proper steps to make it work so that you can last, you know, so you're not just a fly-by-night organization or, you know, service or whatever it is that you're providing. And I always believe that, you know, living that dream, you know, is the most important piece, because I know it's a struggle sometimes to have to walk in to, you know, those doors that we go through every day and have to go sit in a cubicle, especially when you know you have that desire that's running back and forth in your head. So it's just always, but like you said, the bigger piece is that you never walk away from something that's going to help you build your dream. And like I always tell people that, you know, at the end of the day, you can either continue to, you can go for your dream, or you can continue working for those who are that are living their dream. So that's, you know, the way that I look at things. And I think it's always positive and important for people to look within inside themselves and figure out what it is that they love to do. And your advice is absolutely on point for that. Some other quick questions. So how can people get a hold of you? Which I think is important to know.
Absolutely. You can reach me via my website at www.jcs-llc.com, or via email at cjackson@jcs-llc.com, or you can reach me via phone at 202-520-5246.
All right. And one other place they can also reach you at was where? Where else do you think they can
absolutely
find you?
absolutely reach me on Miss McLemore's website as well, because I am a member.
That's right. Yes, you can definitely reach Miss Constance at the Women's Small Business Initiative, and I'll give you that information here in a few minutes. But I definitely want to bring that up, that it's important that she is one of our first members, and I love that because, this is an opportunity for other people to reach out to her about her services, or even just learn some information that she can provide to help you get to the point, whether you're trying to get into the world of contracting or just come into business period, just understanding some of that legality part and understanding how it works. She can give you that advice because you have many years of background, not just in the business itself, but just overall. So, ladies, please reach out to Constance Jackson. She is a wealth of information. But do you have any last words that you want to talk about there, Constance?
As I was saying before, I just want everybody to pursue their dreams. I want them to go for it. I want them to understand that there will be some tough times. There will be times where you might feel like pulling your hair out. You might feel like crying. But if you're passionate about it, keep going.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you again for coming on tonight. It's been a pleasure, and I always enjoy talking to you. And tonight's special, so, getting the opportunity to share your story, that's always a thing that I love to hear other women talk about. So again, thank you for coming on. For everybody else, you all have a good night. You will find me here, though, every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. You can also find me through the WSBI website at www.wsbillc.com. You can also visit me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. But until then, enjoy the rest of your evening.